Once upon a time, in a distant galaxy, there was a planet called Zillera. The inhabitants of Zillera, known as the Zillerians, were curious beings with large, bright eyes and shimmering green skin. They lived in harmony and shared a strong belief in peace. Their scientists, especially a brilliant female named Laren, were fascinated by other worlds. They often sent out ships to explore and learn about different civilizations. One day, Laren and her team received a signal from a small blue planet called Earth. They decided to investigate, believing humanity to be a tranquil species. After many light years of travel, they arrived at Earth. The Zillerians hovered their ship above a small town, intrigued by the sights and sounds below. From their vantage point, they observed humans interacting in parks, children playing, and families having picnics. Everything looked joyful and peaceful. Excited, Laren suggested they gather more information about humans. Her team agreed, and they used their advanced technology to tune into the media broadcast on Earth. They wanted to understand the culture, values, and behaviors of this new species. They stumbled upon a documentary about a topic strange to them, war. As the documentary played, Laren's wide eyes filled with confusion and worry. The screen showed images of battlefields, soldiers, and discussions around strategies of war. She turned to her team, her eyes flashing with concern. This cannot be true. How can such violence exist among these peaceful-looking beings? Her colleague, Bryke, furrowed his brow. Perhaps this is just a small part of their history, a bad dream they have left behind, he offered. But Laren was not convinced. The images flashed in her mind: a child crying in the ruins of a bombed city, families torn apart, and leaders making decisions that led to destruction. This was so different from the calm they had observed on Earth. Laren decided they needed to learn more. We must go to them, she said, her voice firm. We need to understand why they choose this path of conflict. Before her team could protest, Laren initiated the ship's descent. They landed in a lonely forest, hidden from human eyes. Creating holographic disguises, they transformed into humans to blend in. Laren shaped her green skin to a pale shade and wore clothes made from the ship's fabric. Bryke did the same, though he added an oversized cap to trick the observers. Venturing into a nearby town, they heard voices discussing the same topics they saw in the documentary: wars fought for power, territory, and resources. Laren felt an ache in her heart. Do they not see the pain this brings? She whispered to Bryke. They approached a cafe where locals chatted over coffee. Eavesdropping, they learned of a recent war that had caused significant harm. A woman spoke in hushed tones: "It's terrifying how our leaders just keep sending us into conflict." Laren and Bryke exchanged glances, their disguises making them feel strange but also connected. They were observing, learning, and feeling with these humans. Suddenly, they were approached by a human named Max. He was a tall man with kind eyes. "You two look lost. Are you new here?" he asked, smiling. Remembering their cover, Laren nodded. "Yes, we are visiting for a few days." Max invited them to his home for dinner, and they accepted, eager to learn more without the barrier of a cafe table. As they arrived at Max's house, they saw pictures on the wall of people smiling together, but some were missing. When Laren noticed a photograph of a soldier with a somber expression, her heart sank. During dinner, Laren and Bryke listened quietly, letting Max share his story. "My brother went to war last year. He came back changed. He was not the same happy person we once knew," Max said, his voice filled with sorrow. "Many say it is for the country, but I see only pain." The more they spoke, the more Laren realized that many humans suffered because of war. They might laugh and smile, but deep down, the wounds were fresh and aching. Laren felt she needed to share this with her people back on Zillera. "Max," she started, her voice wavering, "do you believe there can be peace?" Max looked thoughtful. "I wish for it. I want to believe we can find a way. But many think war is the only solution. It's hard to change deeply rooted beliefs. Laren's heart raced. There was hope, but the journey ahead seemed long. What if we could help? She asked, an idea forming in her mind. Help? Max raised an eyebrow. Yes, Bryce chimed in. Perhaps we can find a way to inspire change, to show humanity that peace can be a choice. After dinner, Laren and Bryce returned to their ship, bursting with ideas. They discussed numerous strategies to communicate their findings back to the Zillarians. They knew their civilization had powerful technology, capable of sending messages throughout the galaxy. Maybe they could share the humans' experiences and sorrow, urging Zillarians to reach out to Earth with a message of hope and unity. Soon, a plan began to take shape. Laren decided to record a message, using her newly developed friendship with Max as a bridge. She requested Max to gather people in town to share their stories of loss and hopes for a peaceful future. As they transmitted their plan back to Zillara, Laren felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. Would their home see the truth of this fragile planet? Weeks passed, and their documentation spread through Zillara like the gentle ripples of a pond. The Zillarians watched the stories of human suffering but also saw their courage, kindness, and moments of happiness. Laren's heart soared when she saw her people react with empathy, wanting to help. Their decision to contact Earth grew stronger, and soon a delegation from Zillara was sent to meet with the humans. Max and a group of others stood in awe as the shimmering ship touched down. This was a moment of unity, hope, and understanding. Laren stepped forth, returning to the planet with a mission: a bridge of peace. With each human and Zillarian exchanging stories, the spark of change flickered, igniting a flame of hope that would radiate across the stars. In the end, humanity discovered that peace was not merely a dream but a possible reality, and the Zillarians merely needed to understand to believe. Together, they planted the seeds of a new beginning, nurturing a shared vision of harmony in the universe. The Zorptians were a peaceful race. Their planet, Zorpax, was a jewel of vibrant flora and gentle creatures. For centuries, they'd observed humanity from afar, their advanced telescopes picking up snippets of Earth's broadcasts. They saw glimpses of art, music, and scientific advancement. They concluded humanity was, on the whole, peaceful. This conclusion was shared among the Zorptian High Council, a group of 7 wise elders who guided their society. Their youngest member, Xylar, was particularly fascinated by Earth. Xylar had spent years studying human history. He'd devoured every intercepted signal, every piece of information they could glean. He believed in humanity's potential for good. His view was often met with gentle amusement by the other elders, who, while not disbelieving, remained cautious. Elder Zorp, the council's leader, often reminded Xylar, "Patience, young one. We must observe further." One day, Xylar stumbled upon a peculiar signal. It wasn't a broadcast from a satellite or a radio station. It was a clearer, more focused transmission, a direct signal, almost as if it was meant to be found. Intrigued, he translated it. It was a documentary. A war documentary. The film depicted a conflict between 2 human nations, a brutal, bloody war fought with advanced weaponry. Xylar watched, his initial curiosity turning to shock. The images were vivid: explosions, shattered cities, and suffering soldiers. He saw the human capacity for immense destruction, a side of humanity completely absent from the cultural broadcasts they'd previously observed. He felt a tremor of doubt, a crack in his carefully constructed view of humanity. He immediately summoned the other elders to view the documentary. Elder Zorp, a towering figure with skin the color of amethyst, watched with a grim expression. Elder Fluv, known for her gentle nature, gasped at several scenes. Elder Gleep, the council's scientific advisor, analyzed the technology displayed in the war. The elders, each in their own way, showed varying degrees of alarm and concern. This is unthinkable," Elder Fluff whispered, her voice barely audible above the sounds of the documentary. Elder Gleep adjusted his spectacles. Their technology is primitive, yet devastatingly effective. Their capacity for destruction surpasses anything we've ever witnessed. Xyler, his face pale, felt a deep sense of responsibility. He had championed humanity, portrayed them as a peaceful people. Now, the truth, the harsh reality, was undeniable. We assumed, Elder Zorp said, his voice heavy with disappointment, that we were observing a species on the cusp of achieving interstellar peace. We were wrong. The discovery created a rift within the Zorptian High Council. Some advocated for immediate isolation, cutting off all contact with Earth. Others, including Xyler, argued for continued observation, believing humanity might still redeem itself. The debate was fierce, passionate, and deeply personal. Xyler, however, felt a different kind of responsibility. He felt a need to understand the root of this human conflict. He went back to the original signal, searching for more information. He found news reports, historical documents, and even personal accounts from the war. He learned about the causes of the conflict, about the political tensions, the economic inequalities, and the historical grievances that fueled the war. He learned about the human capacity for both cruelty and compassion. He learned about a particular soldier, a young woman named Anya, who had lost her family in the war. Anya's personal accounts were particularly poignant. She spoke of her grief, her anger, but also her hope for a future free of conflict. Xyler found himself drawn to her resilience, her unwavering belief in humanity's potential for peace. He compiled all his findings into a comprehensive report, presenting it to the High Council. He argued that while humanity was capable of immense violence, it was also capable of remarkable acts of kindness and courage. He suggested that Zorptian intervention was not necessarily needed at this point in time, continued observation was important, but immediate action may only worsen things. He highlighted Anya's story as a testament to the enduring spirit of hope. The council deliberated for days. The debate was long and challenging. Ultimately, they decided to continue their observation, but with a new perspective. They would not judge humanity based on its flaws alone. They would try to understand the complexities of human nature, the balance of good and evil that define their species. Xyler, relieved yet burdened by the weight of his discovery, continued to monitor Earth, his faith in humanity shaken but not broken. He still believed in their potential for good. He knew that the path to peace was long and arduous, but he also knew that humanity was capable of taking that path, capable of learning from their mistakes and striving for a better future. He knew that humanity, even with its flaws, was worth watching. The year is 2347. Xyler, a Zidonian scout, adjusted his biovisor, the shimmering purple landscape of Xylos mirroring in the polished lens. His people, the Zidonians, had observed humanity for centuries from afar, their advanced technology allowing them to monitor Earth without detection. Their initial scans painted a picture of a peaceful, if somewhat primitive, civilization. They saw bustling cities, but no signs of widespread conflict. They saw art and music, not weapons of mass destruction. Xyler, along with his crew, Kira, a seasoned navigator, and Jax, their communications expert, was on a pioneering mission. Their ship, the Stardust Wanderer, was the first Zidonian vessel to make direct contact. Their orders were simple: observe, learn, and, if deemed safe, initiate contact. The Zidonians were a curious race, fascinated by the complexities of other sentient life. Humanity, in their assessment, represented a unique enigma, a seemingly peaceful species that possessed the technological capacity for self-destruction. Their initial observations from orbit were promising. Earth, a vibrant blue marble speckled with white clouds, showed no signs of major conflicts. Satellite feeds displayed daily life, children playing, people working, families enjoying their time together. There were disagreements, yes, but nothing on the scale of interplanetary warfare. The Zidonians noted humanity's artistic expressions, their music, their literature. There was a surprising level of creativity and ingenuity. The Stardust Wanderer landed in a remote, unpopulated area of the Alaskan wilderness. Xyler, Kira, and Jax donned their environmental suits, designed to mimic human physiology, and emerged onto the surface of Earth. The air was crisp and cold, the silence punctuated only by the rustling of leaves. They spent weeks observing a small human settlement, a community of scientists studying the aurora borealis. The humans were initially apprehensive, but their fear slowly gave way to curiosity. The Zidonians, with their ability to communicate through telepathy, subtly answered their unspoken questions. They showed the humans images of Xylos, their home world, a planet bathed in the perpetual glow of twin suns. They shared glimpses of their culture, their history, their scientific advancements. One of the scientists, Dr. Eris Thorne, was particularly inquisitive. A brilliant astrophysicist, he was fascinated by the Zidonians' advanced technology. He quickly formed a bond with Xyler, exchanging knowledge and ideas. Dr. Thorne was skeptical at first, believing the Zidonians to be a figment of his imagination, but the undeniable evidence of their technology and their ability to communicate telepathically dispelled any doubt. He was awestruck. As the weeks turned into months, the Zidonians' perception of humanity began to shift subtly. They learned about humanity's history, its wars, its conflicts. They witnessed the subtle undercurrents of tension between nations, the economic inequalities, the potential for discord. They discovered humanity's capacity for both immense good and terrible destruction. They saw the potential for war lurking beneath the surface. This was unexpected. The idyllic image of a peaceful humanity crumbled, replaced by a more complex and nuanced reality. The Zidonians had misjudged the situation, placing too much faith in superficial observations. They saw flickers of conflict reflected in the global news reports that Jax intercepted. The potential for global catastrophe, though currently dormant, was undeniable. One day, while observing a global summit on Earth, a heated debate erupted on the screen. Jax, monitoring the summit, detected a surge in aggressive rhetoric. The nations were arguing over the scarce resources, escalating their hostility with each passing moment. The peaceful facade was beginning to crack. Xyler and Kira were shocked. This was far from the harmonious picture they had initially observed. They knew they had to act. The risk of a global war, potentially leading to humanity's self-destruction, was very real. Their orders to observe and learn had become secondary to preventing a catastrophic event. The Zidonians had always valued peace above all else. Now, they were faced with a dilemma. Interfering could be interpreted as aggression, leading to unforeseen consequences. However, doing nothing could lead to the annihilation of an entire species. They deliberated for hours, weighing their options. They ultimately decided that the potential for harm caused by inaction outweighed the risk of intervention. They needed to use their influence to guide humanity away from the brink of disaster. Their mission had shifted, from mere observation to active intervention. The Stardust Wanderer, once a ship of peaceful observation, was now a vessel with a crucial mission, to prevent the annihilation of a species they had once believed to be peaceful. The serene face of Xylos mirrored in Xyler's visor, reflecting the gravity of their new, unforeseen task. Their initial assumptions had proven wrong. Humanity was far more complex than their initial observations had suggested, a balance of peace and the potential for destruction. The future of humanity, and perhaps the Zidonians' understanding of the universe, hung in the balance. In a quiet part of the galaxy, there was a planet called Elysium. It was home to a race of aliens known as the Vorians. The Vorians were tall and slender, with shimmering skin that changed color with their emotions. They were a peaceful species, valuing knowledge and harmony above everything else. As they gazed into the stars every night, they dreamed of discovering other civilizations and learning about them. They often sent out small ships to explore distant worlds. One day, a young Vorian named Lyra received her first mission. She was excited and nervous as she was chosen to lead a team to visit planet Earth. She had heard many stories about humans from her teachers, and she believed that they were a kind and gentle species. With her were two companions, Zeth, who was wise and always ready for adventure, and Myra, who was curious and loved to ask questions. As their ship traveled through space, Lyra shared stories of humans with her friends. She talked about how humans created art, music, and enjoyed helping each other. "I believe we will find them to be peaceful," Lyra said, her eyes sparkling with hope. Zeth nodded but looked thoughtful. "Let's see what we find. Not all creatures are as kind as we wish them to be." Myra, however, was already imagining the wonderful things they would learn. After what felt like a long journey, they finally landed in a beautiful green field in the middle of a busy human city. The ship was small and could easily hide among the tall trees. Lyra activated the cloaking device, and they stepped out into the fresh air. As they looked around, they could hear laughter and music coming from a nearby gathering. The three Vorians decided to approach, very curious about the humans. As they walked closer, they saw a celebration happening. People were dancing, children were playing, and everyone looked happy. Lyra smiled. "See, they are joyful and friendly." As they watched from behind a tree, a young human girl named Emma, with bright blue eyes and curly hair, caught their attention. She was laughing and clapping her hands, enjoying the rhythm of the music. Suddenly, she spotted Lyra, Zeth, and Myra peeking from behind the tree. Instead of being afraid, she shouted, "Look! Aliens!" The crowd turned to see the three Vorians. There was a moment of silence as the humans stared at the newcomers. Lyra felt a wave of nervousness wash over her, but she took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Hello. We come in peace," she called out, her voice clear and friendly. The crowd erupted in cheers. Emma rushed forward, excited. "Are you really aliens?" she asked. "What do you want to learn about us?" Lyra's heart soared with joy. "Yes. We are from the planet Elysium. We want to learn about your world and your ways," she explained. "We believe you are a peaceful people." Emma grinned widely. "Come join our party. We can show you everything." The Vorians hesitated for a moment but then followed Emma, feeling a warmth from the humans that made them feel welcome. They danced, laughed, and shared stories. Lyra told them about the wonders of Elysium, the beautiful landscapes, the colorful plants, and the soothing music of their home. In return, the humans shared tales about their achievements, their dreams, and even their problems. As the sun began to set, a heavy thunderstorm rolled in. Dark clouds covered the sky, and soon, rain poured down. The humans scattered, seeking shelter, and Lyra and her companions felt alarmed as they saw panic spread through the crowd. "They're scared," Zeth exclaimed. When the storm hit, a big tree by the celebration area fell, almost hitting Emma. Lyra reacted quickly, using her abilities to lift the heavy branches away from the frightened crowd. The humans stared at her in disbelief. When the storm passed, the people burst into applause. "That was amazing," Emma shouted, running to Lyra. "You really saved me." Lyra smiled, feeling a connection growing between them. But the moment was interrupted when a group of men arrived, looking angry. They believed the aliens were a threat. "These creatures aren't safe. They shouldn't be here," one shouted, and fear spread among some of the humans. Lyra felt her heart race. She turned to Zeth and Myra. "What should we do?" Zeth, with a calm voice, replied, "We must show them who we are. Let us share more of our knowledge and peace." Taking a deep breath, Lyra stepped forward again. "Please, we are not here to harm you. We seek understanding. We only wish to learn and share. Just then, Myra spoke up. Look at what we did together today. Humans and Vorians united against the storm, helping each other. She pointed to the fallen tree and how the humans and aliens work side by side to clear it up. One of the angry men looked around at his fellow humans and saw how everyone was pitching in. Maybe they are not so bad after all, he muttered. Soon, other humans began to nod in agreement. The leader of the group began to soften. Perhaps we should learn from them instead of fearing them. We have been afraid of the unknown, he said slowly. With time, the crowd began to trust the Vorians. They started to share stories of peace, love, and cooperation. Lyra, Zeth, and Myra showed them some of their technologies, emphasizing how they could use them for good. Over the days that followed, the bond between humans and Vorians grew stronger. They worked together, created art, and even planned future gatherings. Lyra realized how beautifully complex humans were, filled with both light and shadows. At the end of their mission, Lyra felt proud. She had thought they would find peace, and they did. Before leaving, Emma hugged Lyra tightly and said, "You showed us that there is more to learn about each other. Please come back and visit." Lyra smiled and promised they would return. As the Vorians boarded their ship, they looked back one last time. Earth was a place of curiosity, kindness, and the potential for peace. As they soared into the stars, Lyra felt hopeful. She knew that the bond between Elysium and Earth was just beginning, and it would only grow stronger with time.